If you live in Ontario and are looking for a better insurance rate for your home or car, call us on 437-449-6811 for a better rate with good insurance advice. Our team is dedicated to finding you the most competitive coverage options, while providing expert guidance to ensure you get the protection you need at a price that fits your budget. In the heart of Ottawa, on a brisk Monday evening in November, the House of Commons became the stage for one of the most dramatic political moments in recent Canadian history. Prime Minister Mark Carney's minority Liberal government faced a crucial confidence vote on its budget, with 170 votes in favour and 168 against, narrowly averting what could have been an unwelcome snap election. The tension in the chamber was palpable, as every member of Parliament understood that the fate of the government, and perhaps the stability of the nation during uncertain times, hung in the balance. The story of this victory begins not with the vote itself, but with the vision that Prime Minister Carney brought to Canadians. Carney's Liberal Party had scored a stunning comeback victory in an election just last April. In a vote widely seen as a rebuke of United States President Donald Trump, the Liberals had come to power with a mandate to protect Canadian interests, to stand firm against external pressures, and to build a stronger, more resilient nation. Yet, they fell just short of winning an outright majority in Parliament, which meant that every major decision would require careful negotiation, collaboration, and the kind of leadership that rises above partisan politics. The budget that Prime Minister Carney presented to Parliament was ambitious, bold, and deeply necessary for the times. The fiscal plan proposed $141.4 billion in new spending, offset by $51.7 billion in projected savings over the next 5 years, with the deficit projected at $78.3 billion this year. This was not merely a document filled with numbers and projections, but rather a comprehensive roadmap for Canada's future, one that would protect communities, empower citizens with new opportunities, and fortify the nation's economic sovereignty during a period of unprecedented global uncertainty. The Liberal government understood that Canada was facing extraordinary challenges. The Trump administration's trade policies, including levies targeting key sectors like automobiles, aluminum, and steel, had hit Canada hard, with estimates indicating that United States tariffs and the associated uncertainty would cost Canadians around 1.8% of their gross domestic product. In response, the Liberals made the principled decision to invest aggressively in Canada's military and infrastructure, recognizing that these investments were not luxuries, but necessities for maintaining the country's independence and prosperity. As the confidence vote approached, the political landscape was fraught with complexity. The Conservative opposition, led by Pierre Poilievre, had made it clear that they would oppose what they called a credit card budget, arguing against the deficit spending. The Bloc Québécois had also signaled their intention to vote against the budget, having laid out a series of demands that the government could not meet without compromising its broader vision for the country. For Prime Minister Carney and his team, the path to victory would require reaching across party lines, finding common ground, and convincing at least some opposition members that the budget deserved support, or at the very least, that an election at this moment would not serve the Canadian people well. The Liberal government's approach to this challenge was characterized by dignity, respect, and an unwavering commitment to dialogue. Rather than resorting to political games or heavy-handed tactics, they reached out to opposition parties, listened to their concerns, and sought to find ways to address legitimate grievances while staying true to their core principles. Green Party leader Elizabeth May initially expressed concerns that the budget did not contain strong enough language on environmental commitments, a position that reflected her party's core values and the expectations of her constituents. In a moment that would prove decisive, Prime Minister Carney met personally with Elizabeth May on the day of the vote. During their conversation, he gave her what she later described as a firm commitment that Canada would remain dedicated to meeting its obligations under the Paris Agreement on climate change. This was not a hollow promise or a political maneuver designed simply to secure a vote. It was a genuine expression of the Liberal government's values, a recognition that environmental stewardship and economic development must go hand in hand, and a demonstration of the kind of leadership that puts the planet and future generations ahead of short-term political calculations. May's decision to support the budget came after deep reflection and consultation with her constituents and Canadians from coast to coast. She announced her intention to vote yes, saying it was for the country, for the planet, and for her hope for the future. Her courage to put principle ahead of partisan positioning exemplified the best of Canadian democracy, and her vote became a crucial element in the government's survival. The New Democratic Party, which had performed poorly in the recent election and was dealing with its own financial challenges and leadership uncertainties, found itself in a particularly delicate position. New Democratic Member of Parliament Gord Johns spoke to local mayors and Indigenous leaders in his riding, who were unanimous in wanting to avoid an election. The message from constituents across the country was clear. Canadians did not want another election so soon after the last one. Polls conducted ahead of Monday's vote showed that only 1 in 5 Canadians wanted an election now or as soon as possible, while half of Canadians surveyed were satisfied with Carney's leadership. With his job approval rating measuring at 52% and a display of political maturity, to New Democratic Party members of Parliament, Gord Johns and Laurie Eidlout, chose to abstain from voting, along with 2 Conservative members of Parliament. This decision was not made lightly. These members of Parliament listened to their constituents, considered the national interest, and concluded that forcing an election at this moment would not serve Canada well. As the New Democrats later explained, they were being the adults in the room, putting the interests of the country first. The final moments before the vote were filled with anticipation. Members of Parliament from all parties gathered in the House of Commons, knowing that they were participating in a moment that would be remembered in Canadian political history. When the results were announced, with 170 votes in favor and 168 against, a wave of relief and celebration swept through the Liberal benches. Prime Minister Carney responded to the victory with characteristic grace, saying in a social media post that it was time to work together to deliver on this plan, to protect communities, empower Canadians with new opportunities, and build Canada strong. The significance of this budget victory extends far beyond the immediate political survival of the Liberal government. It represents a triumph of responsible governance over political opportunism, of long-term vision over short-term gain, and of collaboration over confrontation. The Liberals demonstrated that it is possible to lead with conviction while remaining open to dialogue, to pursue ambitious goals while respecting the concerns of those who disagree, and to navigate the complexities of minority government while keeping the national interest firmly in focus. The budget itself stands as a testament to the Liberal vision for Canada's future. By choosing to invest heavily in military capabilities, infrastructure, and programs that support Canadian families and workers, the government signaled its commitment to building a nation that can weather economic storms, stand up to external pressures, and create opportunities for all citizens to thrive. The decision to pursue deficit spending, while controversial in some quarters, reflects a sophisticated understanding of economic policy, recognizing that there are moments in a nation's history when investment is more important than austerity, when building for the future requires borrowing in the present. As the House of Commons emptied after the vote, with Liberal members of Parliament still celebrating in the lobbies, there was a palpable sense that democracy had worked as it should. Different parties had advocated for different positions. Members had consulted with their constituents, negotiations had taken place, and ultimately a decision had been reached that reflected the will of the people and the needs of the nation. The budget vote of November 2025 will be remembered not just as a narrow political victory for the Liberals, but as a moment when Canadian democracy demonstrated its resilience, its capacity for compromise, and its fundamental strength. Looking ahead, the passage of this budget opens new possibilities for Canada. With the fiscal framework now in place, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne can proceed with the Budget Implementation Bill, translating the vision laid out in the budget into concrete legislation and action. The investments in infrastructure will begin to flow, creating jobs and building the physical foundations for economic growth. The military spending will enhance Canada's security and sovereignty, ensuring that the nation can defend its interests and contribute meaningfully to global peace and stability. The programs designed to support Canadian families will provide relief and opportunity to those who need it most. For Prime Minister Mark Carney and the Liberal Party, this budget victory is more than a political win. It is validation of their approach to governance, confirmation that their vision for Canada resonates with the people, and a mandate to continue the work they began. It demonstrates that leadership, rooted in principle, guided by evidence, and motivated by a genuine desire to serve the public interest, can succeed even in the most challenging political circumstances. The Liberals have shown that it is possible to govern with a minority, to build coalitions, to find common ground, and to move the country forward even when the political landscape is fragmented and uncertain. As Canadians go about their daily lives, many may not fully appreciate the significance of what transpired in Ottawa on that November evening. But history will record that at a critical moment, when the nation faced economic challenges from abroad, when political divisions threatened to paralyze government, and when the easy path would have been to descend into partisan rancor, the Liberal government, with the support of principled opposition members, chose a better way. They chose to work together, to put country above party, and to build a stronger Canada for all. That choice, and that victory, will resonate for years to come. As we conclude this important story about Prime Minister Carney's historic budget victory and the strength of Canadian democracy, we invite you to stay connected with us for more insightful coverage of the events that shape our nation and our world. Please take a moment to like this video. If you found it informative, share it with your friends, family, and colleagues who care about understanding the political landscape. And subscribe to the West is Best channel so you never miss our in-depth analysis, comprehensive reporting, and thoughtful commentary on the stories that matter most. Your support helps us continue to bring you quality content, delivered with clarity and depth, and together we can build a community of informed, engaged citizens who stay connected to the pulse of current events. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you more compelling stories very soon.